This is the Rebel Author Podcast, where we talk about books, business, and occasionally bad words. Hello, Rebels, and welcome to episode 269 of the Rebel Author Podcast. Today, I have not one guest, but two, with Cara, Clare and AP Beswick, and we are talking all about the TikTok challenge that changed my life and what has changed in their lives 1 year on from the challenge that we did. So there's not really a personal update from me as I am recording this still on the 6th of November, but what I will do is give you an update on all of the things that I learned and kind of took away from Vegas next week. As this is out, I think I will actually be back from Vegas. So I will be able to formulate all my thoughts. But in terms of what I'm doing whilst I'm there, I am meeting lots and lots of different people. So I have set about to interview some authors who are doing bigger, better kind of things than me, who I aspire to kind of reach their heady levels of success. So hopefully I'll be able to get some inspiration and ideas there. I am teaching a class on tropes, and I'm on a couple of panels, an LGBT one and a panel on TikTok, which I'm kind of proud of because a year ago, I didn't know anything about TikTok. So to be sat on a panel with the likes of Willow Winters and ZS Diamante, I'm really quite pleased with that. So that's pretty cool. I am having meetings with Kickstarter and Podium, and yeah, generally speaking, it's more or less a week of meetings, if I'm perfectly honest, or not even a week. I'm only there Saturday to Thursday, well, and barely there Saturday because I arrive Saturday night, but yeah, it's going to be a wild week, but I will do my best to kind of write up some notes and come up with some pointers from Vegas. Okay, Rebel of the Week this week is Karla. Karla says, I used to be a runner. Well, that in itself is a rebel story for a later time, but suffice to say, I used to be a runner. I'm not a small girl. There was a time when I was an aerobic instructor and a perfect size 6 at 125 pounds of solid muscle. I was also bulimic and told I still needed to lose 10 pounds by my regional manager, my mother, and the industry at large. Well, that's fucking disgraceful, but I digress, as this is not that rebellion. I'm now a size 14, 16 and happily eat cake because, well, who doesn't love a good cake, and pie because pie. And I was running daily, so eating cake and pie were possible for me. I was training for a 10k race and the weather outside was nasty. It is New England after all, so I did something I loathe. I went to the gym to run on the treadmill. Circumstances that day were such that I ended up at the gym during what I call the meat market hour, that point at the end of the workday where all the young professionals come into work after work to meet someone that is as beautiful as they are. Running for about 20 minutes when two little chippies in cute workout outfits, makeup, perfectly styled hair and such, came in, hopped on the ellipticals in front of me for all of 15 minutes. And if those girls were sweating, it wasn't breaking through all the bronzer and makeup they were wearing. They go away and I finish up my workout. Heading to the locker room, they are sitting on the bench in front of my locker, wrapped in skimpy towels, gossiping about how someone in the office was expecting a ring and didn't get it, and other such things. When I asked one of them to move to get in so I can shower, as I'm a sweaty mess, I stripped down and wrapped myself to head for the showers. As I turned the corner, one turned to the other and giggled loudly, saying, "Oh my God, did you see her? She's so old." And the other replied, "And fat. She must be so embarrassed to be seen here." I stuck my head around the corner and said, "Girls, I'm fat, not deaf," and ran into the shower after seeing the panic on their faces. They were gone when I came out a few minutes later because gym showers, ick. I did notice one other time when I was on the treadmill that when they walked in, one spied at me and they walked out again. Funny thing, I ran that 10k in the middle of winter on Cape Cod. It's the same race where my son ran the half and beat Bill Rogers, who won the Boston Marathon a few times in his heyday. Coming right in after I finished my 10k. I have a photo somewhere of the two of us wearing our medals from that day. So girls, who's the loser now? I love this. Also, fuck those bitches. I hate people like that. They're literally the definition of humans that I dislike. They've got nothing else to say in life. There's probably nothing going on in their brains other than being bitchy. Well, karma's going to come and bite them in the arse, isn't it? If you would like to be a Rebel of the Week, please do send in your story. It can be any kind of rebellion. You can email your story to Becca over on rebelauthorpodcast@gmail.com. Patrons this week, but an enormous thank you to all of my existing patrons. If you would like to support the show and get early access to all of the episodes as well as bonus content, you can from as little as $2 a month by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. Hello and welcome to the Rebel Author Podcast. Today I'm joined by not one special guest, but two. First, we have Clare. Cara is a best-selling author of paranormal reverse harem. After ghostwriting for several years, she now makes a living from her own books. Cara's books have a witchy wide shoes twist and plenty of spice. She lives in Suffolk, England with her son. Then we have AP Beswick. Adam is the best-selling author of the Levanthria series, which has taken readers on epic journeys from corner to corner of the world. While mastering the craft of fantastical storytelling, Adam simultaneously embraces the rewarding challenges of family life as well as being an authorpreneur. Hello, guys. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, thank you for joining me. So, Cara was on episode 225 in January of this year. So you are probably the only guest to come back on within the same year, which is, but you're here for a specific reason this time. And then Adam was in December of last year talking about TikTok. And I think, Cara, you spoke about reverse harem, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And
very evidently, I remember.
Fabulous, darling. It's almost like you have your own podcast. Oh, wait, you do have your own podcast. What's your podcast?
Can you not? Because I was saving that for the bit where you asked me about what I've been doing this year.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, forget that. Forget that. Yeah. Okay. I'll just edit that bit out. I really won't. Okay. So so when people come on the show, I normally ask them about their journey, but obviously you've both been on the show before, so I'm not going to do that. So instead, will you tell me what you have been up to? Cara, why don't you start?
Well, Sasha, I started a podcast. Okay, no, so books first. So last time I came on, I was talking about reverse harem, which was for my main series, which is the Phoenix Prophecy series. That was kind of the thing that changed my career. So that series technically finished last year, and this year I added on 3 extra books to that series, which was kind of its own little storyline and just for people who wanted a bit more. And then I started a spin-off, which was kind of a new mashup of genres, which is Mafia Vampires. Really just loving it. It's amazing. And then I started a podcast with James Blatt, who people know from the self-publishing formula. So now I'm doing that, and it's really hard work, and you didn't warn me.
I'm pretty sure I warned you.
No, you did warn me. It's really hard work, but it's awesome. And so I'm starting to try and do some more non-fiction stuff, putting together a course on spicy stuff, all that kind of thing, which is very and a bit scary.
And you've been sprinting with somebody amazing, just like the most amazing sprint buddy ever.
Like really awesome, but also really stressful, like sprint partner who keeps me on my toes. And obviously it's you.
Obviously it's. I mean, who else would it be?
I'm not cheating on you with another sprinting partner.
I would go to war with them. Adam, what have you been up to in the last year?
So there's something that Cara seems to have forgot there, and that's where she wrote a trilogy of books
my notes.
with indie publishing house.
Wow,
so
this is year, such an incestuous podcast.
It is. Let's just get the boxing gloves on now. So we've had a really productive and busy year. We've had some kind of release every month from January right up until September. So I am absolutely exhausted at this stage, but only a couple of months left of the year to go. We have decided to start publishing books written by other authors, as well as my own books. So that's been really fun. And Cara was the first author that we worked with, writing under the new pen name Alexis Brooke. And I
forgot my spare. It was in my notes.
I don't believe you. It's disappointing. So the whole concept of us working together and writing a dark fantasy romance started off as as a bit of a joke between us,
Mhm.
a bit of an in-joke that we had. And Cara happened to let slip that she was looking at doing some ghostwriting work around, was it late March,
Yeah, it
middle
wasn't
of
long
March, something like that. And by the next day, I'd sent her a book cover um, and pitched the idea to her. We broke it down in a bit more detail. And by May, we'd released the first book that I had outlined, Cara had written, and then by July, we'd released a trilogy of books. So I had a very busy few months there working on that series together, which was really good fun. And over the summer, I've just finished releasing the last two books in my series, and we have another two authors that we've signed that we are currently neck deep in the editing process and cover design process. So that's been really fun.
And you finished your kind of what's it called? Magnus Opum series. Is that right? What's the word? The Latin phrase.
Yeah, I know what you're meaning.
Yeah.
Like his.
I haven't
Yeah.
got a clue.
Thing.
Yeah, your really big series that kind of broke
Yes.
you out, and that's finished as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the series that I finished. And obviously in January, we started our Novel Gains community, which is the social media for authors group.
Which is a great segue because the Novel Gains group came shortly after you did a little challenge, didn't it? So I can't quite remember the inception of it. I think it was Vegas. Was it Vegas? I feel like it started in Vegas, maybe over a cocktail, and then like it kind of spiraled and developed. So yeah, so okay, let me start, and then I'm going to hand over to you guys who may remember better. So basically, Adam bullied us. No, wait. He suggested kindly that we ought to do a TikTok challenge. So for me, this was before I had even kind of really done a lot on TikTok. I'd spent about 3 weeks in January, and this was November 2023. And he said that we should do a TikTok challenge because he truly believed that it would help kind of boost the income. And then, Cara, you got involved because, tell me why.
I think I was looking for accountability. So there was a few of us who did it together, and we were at very different stages. So like you'd been on there a few months before, got in a strop and decided never to do it again.
How dare you call me out like that?
Obviously smashing it. And I was like somewhere in the middle. So I'd had some success, but then I was finding the consistency and the kind of leveling up really difficult. So Adam suggested like an accountability kind of coaching setup where basically he would keep us in check and help us strategize about what we were doing as well. I think that's the idea.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, that process aged me. You guys were like, it was like herding cats. Like it was a nightmare. Okay, Sasha, you were a nightmare.
I am admittedly a really, really hard person to coach because I won't do anything that anybody tells me. My initial answer is no. And then it's only when I've learnt the lesson the hard way that I will then play ball.
I got back from Vegas, wasn't it? And we were doing individual sessions with Adam, but then we also had a little group Zoom every week to talk about what we finding difficult. And so this was almost exactly a year ago. And I was thinking about it in the run up to this, and I was just remembering all those Zoom calls we had that started with Sasha sitting in the corner, arms folded, like face like she was chewing a wasp, just like, how's your week been, Sasha? It's been shit. I hate TikTok. It's not working.
Yeah, and for me, that what was the most fun was trying to figure out how to tap into that and tap into you individually to kind of figure out what makes you tick. And it took me a while, but once I figured you out, Sasha, it certainly made that process a lot more easy. And I specifically remember there was a conversation we were having, and you were kind of rhyming off everything that wasn't working and how much you hated TikTok, that, TikTok hates sapphic books, that you're never going to do it. And then I just kind of sat back in my chair and folded my arms and said, well, what are you going to do about it then? And I remember you just...
even you saying that now, I'm like, fuck you, I will win!
I remember that your facial expression just completely changed, and you just looked at me and went, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
because you knew exactly. It just became this game of chess. And it worked, and that was the best thing. I wanted to kind of work with you all to because they had a proof of concept, and I wanted to make sure that that concept worked before I kind of pushed it out more widely to people, and it absolutely did. I mean, look at how you're doing now, and look at your Kickstarter from the kind of the network of readers that you've managed to create.
Well, let's talk about our history with TikTok before we kind of dive into the challenge itself, what we did, and then kind of the results and how the last year has been. So we'll take it in sort of three chunks. So, like, Adam, do you want to start? Like, what was your journey with TikTok? When did you start TikTok? What did you do? What was kind of your process? How did you approach it? What were kind of those initial results before, like, leading up to that sort of November 2023 point?
Okay, so yeah, I started in January 2022, very reluctantly. Hated putting myself on camera. Just nerves always got the better of me. Couldn't physically hold my camera when I was filming videos because I was shaking that badly, even though there was only me in the room. And once I'd made those first few videos and did the first few days of a TikTok challenge created by James Blatch, I got obsessed with the platform. I wasn't getting crazy results straight away, but what I was seeing was engagement. And then over the course of a month, I think I posted 3 times a day for a whole month and released a new book in my new series and had £100 in sales, which for me was amazing because I'd made £100 and I'd not spent anything on marketing, which is and still is a real big bugbear of mine, as you both well know. So just kept
No.
so just
saying that before.
Yeah,
like, honestly.
there is a
It's news to
complaint at
us.
least once a day about Facebook ads. So I started posting every day, looking at the data of which I know you'll like, Sasha, of where the demographics were coming from, what content people were engaging with. So I started formulating in my head how I thought things would work and kept doing that until August when I had a viral video 8 months in to starting posting, which meant that my books were actually making what my salary was, my monthly salary was. So just continued pushing, kept building that audience, and then a few more viral videos later, after adapting my methodology, resulted in me being able to go full time last January, 2023, and then kept doing that process all the way up until November, constantly trialing, pivoting, not just using TikTok, trying to expand where I was posting, constantly trying different methods of creating video content, and then expanding my kind of avenues from where people can get my books, so going wide, which took us up to November.
Amazing. Cara, what about you? What was your journey with TikTok?
So I started the same TikTok challenge that Adam did, and that was how we met. But I was doing it initially with my women's fiction pen name, which was sweet, like wholesome romance, completely different from what I write now.
What?
I'm not
Sweet,
sure
wholesome.
I know.
Ugh.
Like barely even a kiss on the page.
No. What do you actually what goes in the pages then? I don't understand. Like what is
I think I need to read one to remind myself. So I started it with that, but that was back when nobody really knew what they were doing, and everybody was just sort of like, I'm sorry, there's like a fire alarm keeps going off. I don't know if you can hear that. People didn't really know what they were doing, so everybody was just kind of doing silly TikTok dances and trying to make it relate to their books and stuff. And then I kind of started to see what spicy authors were doing and the success that people were having with spicy romance on TikTok. And so I actually used TikTok to plan my new pen name, like the Clare pen name, the first book in my series, the Nova book, which was the one that kind of blew up. I was posting hooks for that, like testing hooks and posting content for that before I'd actually written the book, and kind of used TikTok to plan the whole book itself. I think I got just under 1,000 pre-orders for the first book in the series, and that was a brand new pen name. Like nobody knew who I was, nobody read extracts from the book, nothing. And I think it was easier to go viral back then. Like I was getting multiple videos a week go to like 50k, 100k, 150k. And TikTok has remained like my core method of marketing that series ever since. we'll talk a bit later about how this year has been a bit hellish. But in general, it was the thing that changed my career. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, well, listeners can't see, but all three of us just nodded when we said TikTok changed our careers. Okay, so let's talk about the challenge then.
Wait, what about you, Sasha Black?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm so
What
used
was
to
your journey with TikTok prior to us doing the challenge?
Okay, so
up to last year.
Yeah. So January 2023 is when I picked up TikTok, and I opened an account for the first time. And my goal, so I was publishing the first, oh my God, what the fuck? I can't believe that was only last year. I was publishing the first Girl Games book in February 2023, 10th of February 2023. And so I had 6 weeks and I was really determined to get 1,000 followers because I knew at 1,000 followers, I would have a link in the bio where you could then send traffic. And I knew enough about TikTok to know that it was a really good traffic source. And the camera loves me, darling. And so
it actually does. It's really
it actually does love me. I know, it's because I love the camera. I just, I love the attention. No, I'm kidding. I do love the camera though. And but I think it's one of those things like when you are put in front of the camera as a child, that
Can you
helps.
clarify that so that it's not quite so dodgy?
Fuck
Jesus.
me, you are lowering the tone. So I did a little bit of modeling. I was a child actress in children's TV shows. I did voiceovers and so on and so forth. Oh, wow. I think this episode needs trigger warnings. So yeah, I love the camera. And so I wasn't afraid of doing that. The videos were never the problem for me. I think my biggest problem approaching TikTok was not understanding how it worked and getting pissy when I didn't get instant traction, because apparently I have absolutely zero chill. So however,
Adam is chuckling away.
Also, fuck both of you. I didn't realize this was going to be a let's like dump Sasha in it session. Like
you said you wanted our input, so. You brought this on yourself.
I really did. I do believe this was your idea, though. Anyway, so I actually had some really good success. I had a video go to like 50K, and I think it was like my third video. And then I had another video get like 11K, and then fuck all. I went to the 200 club. So I got really pissed and really like frustrated with it. But I did make the 1,000 followers and I did get the link. And then I continued to do like the odd video up until release. And then it just mostly died a death because I was doing too many things. I'd done so much on pre-orders that I hadn't like then seen the conversion after it was launching because I wasn't pushing videos. And if I had have done, I think I probably wouldn't have given up. But because I was just exhausted and, writing the next book and all the rest of it, I didn't filter it into my like business strategy. So I more or less stopped using TikTok. Also because at that point I wasn't really a user of TikTok, which meant I didn't really have like the background knowledge and stuff to understand it properly. Anyway, then in Seville, I made a pinky promise to certain somebody, Mr. AP Beswick, that I would be a 6-figure author by the next Seville in 2024, and had absolutely fuck all idea about how I would do that, given that I think the February I'd earned like maybe £2,500 on Amazon that month. And in the January, I think I'd earned maybe 1,000. So I had no idea how I was going to do this. But it was like, I think, Adam, you'll probably agree, it was a bit of a moment, wasn't it? There was something in the air.
God, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like one of those really special, like the universe shifted and things aligned at that moment. And obviously, we all met up again in Vegas. And that was sort of when Adam was like, well, come on, TikTok is the way. And I was like, nah. Pretty much exactly that quote for quote. And so that was kind of my journey and why I came to it. So let's move on to the challenge itself. So we each had goals. I mean, Adam, not so much, yours were more coaching, but maybe you can talk about that anyway, because you probably had some interesting things that you learned. So Cara, what was your goal with the challenge? And maybe Adam, maybe you start actually to explain exactly what we did.
Okay. Yeah. So I had an idea for a challenge, which was for me to coach some authors, all at varying levels, all with different genres, but all wanting the same results, which was to increase traffic via TikTok to generate sales for their books, i.e. a more sustainable model that doesn't involve dumping a load of money into a ads platform. So organic growth, basically. And we set about having 3 weekly one-on-one session with each of the authors over a 4-week period. And then every Friday we'd have a group coaching, which was where we'd all be together in the same room, and I'd get to sit back and ask people how it went and watch the chaos unfold in front of me. And then in between that, all of you had different ways how you wanted me to help you keep accountable. So I had like 3 or 4 different conversations going on through the week, depending on how you as individuals wanted support with the accountability side of things, which was, again, really fun to find out. Cara, absolutely, completely laid back, really.
I just need to be told that I'm a good girl and that I'm doing a good job.
Pleasure to coach from start to finish.
You are a good girl.
Oh, Sasha Black. That's a bit.
Whereas you, Sasha,
that soundbite, please.
Whereas you, Sasha, I'd get to a Friday night and I'd be sat on the sofa with Sarah, and I'd be like, she's going to break me. She's going to break me. Like, nothing I'm saying is getting through to her. She's very, any direction I try and support with. And then it just clicked in my head. I was like, no, I need to stop offering solutions and get you coming up with the answers more. And it was just a simple mindset shift for me, which really helped for you. And that was really good because I've always been really adaptable, but I'm also a wooer. I'm a people pleaser as well. So I always want to make sure people are happy in a situation. And I was struggling with the fact that I could see you were miserable. And there is no exaggeration. I know how hard that 4-week challenge was for you.
Oh my God. It was so hard. Fucking hard.
And I appreciate the fact that it was probably friendship points that were keeping you in there at one stage.
I think it probably was. I think she would have checked out if it hadn't been for the fact that like we knew each other and it was
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'd have got you to sit down and do it in the first place if we hadn't have already known each other. But it's the fact that you did and you stuck at it, and both of you results wise, it was quite telling, like how things have been. Like, obviously, you both had very different reasons for kind of wanting to do the coaching, as well as helping me gather that kind of proof of concept, which I've now got, but never actually done anything with. So,
so I mean, for me, that my goal was purely to post consistently and hopefully see some sales results as like some sales boost as a result of it. And I still remember, so I still can't believe that we only met in November, Cara, but we did. And I still remember, and the date is like seared into my head, but we started on November the 19th. I don't know if you guys know that, but it was November the 19th that we started.
Yeah, it's because you guys were miserable after getting back from Vegas.
Yeah.
And I got a second wind of energy and was back in the office working. And I was like, right, I'll put you all in for next week.
Yeah.
And gave you all your times.
I did have COVID, in my defence.
Yeah.
I was miserable.
So did I.
COVID.
I
didn't. Yeah. That's because you didn't go to the dodgy oxygen bar and stick like, you know.
I actually did. I actually did do the oxygen bar. It felt absolutely no benefit whatsoever.
That was horrendous.
The thing that I still find amazing is that I don't know if you remember, Cara, because I don't know if I shared that with you, Adam, but November 2023, I was desperate to break $3,000 on Amazon. And I remember
us having that conversation. Yeah. I think something like £40 short.
Yeah, I missed it by
so close.
But I think the All-Star or the KU page thing changed and I did end up over.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so like that is $3,000 that month is it just feels like such a long time ago and like such a strange thing. Go on, Adam.
Can I just highlight that I absolutely remember it because it's seared into my brain because I had to deal with the consequence of that in the coaching sessions. Because we were 2 sessions in at that stage and I was like, we've got 2 weeks to go. Just stick with the methods.
that I have to buy
Yeah, I was just saying.
to shut her up.
Oh,
And then
you wankers.
if she finds out, she'll say that was cheating, and then
Yeah, I
it'll be
would.
like,
I would.
as well.
I
Yeah.
would. That would have been
We-
cheating. I wouldn't have allowed it. It wouldn't have counted.
I think we'd explored that in our sessions. We were like, is there anything we could do to help? And you were like, absolutely not. You need to stay out of it.
A bit like the whole framework for coaching me, right? Oh, I'm so special. Cara, so what was your goal with it? And then if you continue and tell me, so what was your goal? What were the end results? And then what has the last year been like for you?
So I was trying to level up because I'd got to the point where I'd had some like few viral videos, but it was a mindset thing for me. I was finding it really draining. I was finding it really difficult I felt like I was having to come up with new content all the time, and it just felt so draining, and I was struggling with the consistency. So it was really, for me, the biggest thing was the accountability and having somebody to say, this is what I'm doing. And to actually keep me on check, like that I was posting every day, because we also had a little WhatsApp group where we were sharing how many times a day we posted and stuff. And it was trying to level up. So starting some new accounts. And as part of the challenge, I investigated like hiring someone to run some more accounts for me. That didn't work. So it ended up just me running extra accounts. But also, part of it really was the mindset thing. And that was what Adam helped with, was like figuring out what content I was able to make that wasn't going to be that draining for me, and what was going to have the maximum results for the amount of input that I could actually commit to and put into it. And I think by the end of the 4 weeks, I'd had another viral video, which was the biggest one that I'd had for ages. And then I had another one very close to Christmas.
We both had one during that period, didn't we?
Yeah, really similar timing, which took me to my biggest month ever in December. Then I had another huge month like January, February. March was still good. And then the middle of this year has honestly been a slog. Like, I think we can all agree that TikTok, the last 6 months, has been difficult. Like, there's been a lot of
that is a very polite way of talking about TikTok.
It's been really tough. And honestly, if we didn't still have this, because it's not in such a formal fashion, but we still have our group where we share stuff with each other. If we didn't have that, and if we didn't have each other all cheering each other on, I think I would have just thrown my toys out of the pram and not gone back to it. Because I think at different points this year, we've all really struggled, and we've needed the other people to be going, keep going, just keep going. Because there was, like July this year was my lowest ever month. Like, I wasn't running any paid ads because we all hate paid ads. But definitely the performance of TikTok this year made me realize that that's something I do need to do. But I've now got back on track. So after probably 2 months of really hammering it and going back to that original mindset and trying to remember what we were doing in that challenge and replicating that and just being really consistent, I managed to kind of claw things back and things are picking up again. But it has been a challenging 6 months.
Amazing. Adam, what about you and TikTok in the last year?
So the same, really. I think around the time where you both had videos take off on TikTok, I was reposting onto Instagram, and I had videos take off on Instagram. I think I had one that went up to about 6.5 million views, which is the biggest video I've ever had, which at one stage resulted in about £4,000 a day for about 6-7 days straight on Amazon and our store. So it was absolutely insane. And like anything, when you get given all this attention and everything's going great, when it slows down, you come flying back down to earth with the biggest bang you could imagine. And I think it was March, April, and May were our really quiet months, to the point where I was like, right, I can't just keep relying on just TikTok or Instagram, but I need to, right, what can I do with my content to switch things up a bit? Which is what, we've been exploring, writing other people's books, because I was thinking, right, is it getting a bit fatigued because it's always the same book series? And I've kind of reached my ceiling of people that I am going to reach in that sense. So we started working with other authors like Cara, and which came with a new marketing plan because I was doing TikTok slides to get a new pen name up and running in a genre I wasn't writing in myself. So that was a really good challenge, and we got that pen name up and running, which was great. And then I got access to TikTok slides on my iPhone, which had never let me do it before. So I had 2 months where I just posted on TikTok slides, and my exposure went back up, my engagement went back up. I started posting a different kind. I was posting videos on Instagram and TikTok slides on TikTok. And just that combination made me more creative in how I was doing stuff. And then just found a format that was working really well on TikTok. So just kept rinsing and repeating that until it stopped working a week ago. And again, as just decided, yeah, views are just going to go completely down. But again, that's on me to find a solution to that, not blame TikTok. So as frustrating as it is, it's about my mindset here. And as you know, I've been posting every morning with what I've been doing to try and rejig things. And the results aren't where I'd want them to be, but they're certainly improving. And we'll see where we are in another few weeks. And I've been working with the devil in the sense of using paid ads to try and build them up, which just... Not my stress levels, it's my frustration levels rise. I get really mad at how those kind of systems work. But yeah, this year's been about the year of the pivot, shall we say. So yeah, it's pivoting when you need to, and obviously with us wanting to build an indie publishing company as well and start working with other authors to give them a platform that they might not have had. There's been plenty of other things for me to focus on instead of getting kind of consumed when things haven't been working. But as always, everything always finds a way of working out in the end.
Yeah. And I think it's just like the biggest thing with TikTok is just mindset. It's the mindset of it. Because although Facebook ads or whatever are frustrating in terms of like measuring the return on your investment, I don't think it's as mentally or emotionally draining as TikTok, because with TikTok, you get those high highs and then the lowest of lows. And it can feel like you are like trying and trying and trying. And the most frustrating thing is when a shift happens with the algorithm or something happens and you don't know what it is. It just suddenly, a format that's been working for the last 3 months and been doing great just suddenly stops working. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm back to the drawing board again. I've got to go and try and like start from scratch and figure out what's happening again. So I think I have also learned in the last few months to recognize when I need a break from it. And I think, Adam, you're the same with that, because after when you were really pushing for the new series, the Alexis Brooke pen name, I think after release, you were like, I need to actually just have a break for 4 or 5 days, like not post anything.
Yeah.
Because there does come a point where sometimes where you just need to go, no. But I think, Sasha, I don't think you've had a break, even when you went to New Zealand. I can't hear you.
I've not missed a day since November the 19th. I have posted every single day, multiple times a day. So yeah, I haven't had a break. And mostly because I'm terrified about what will happen if I do have a break. So in that respect, it doesn't feel wildly healthy. But also when I can so directly correlate income to posting, I don't want to take a break. I have to say that I definitely have struggled with not the consistency, because it has become a habit, but the grind of consistency I find difficult, because consistency is not like, in terms of Clifton Strengths, it's super low. I'm not like if I'm winning, I'll keep doing it. But when we get to those points where the algorithm shifts and you don't know why, that's when I find it super hard to keep going. And also when I am editing, I find it really difficult as well, because all of my decision making and creative kind of energy goes into editing. And so I feel like I have no creative energy to think of new videos to do. We went through a period where slides were working really well. And at first it was really exhausting to do slides. And then later it was easier because you found that you could repeat content very easily. Whereas now we're back to videos. And originally I was like, well, videos are really easy because it's like a 3-second thing that you do. And then like after you spent a long time doing slides, you kind of get used to it, and then videos become draining again. So it's like really interesting, like that cycle. In terms of what happened for me in the last year, obviously listeners will know that on the 10th of December, I had a video go super viral. That is still my biggest video on TikTok. Frustratingly, I would love another one to beat it, obviously. But yeah, so that is still my biggest video. However, it's not been representative of my biggest month. And I think what's interesting about that is that I have, done publish more books. And whilst I'm sort of seeing, so I just pulled up my data because I was like, I wanted to look at like the income to see what was what. So in terms of this calendar year, in terms of sales, I am just shy of 165 grand in sales across all the stores. And the biggest month is July, when I did release a new book, and that book was like a huge chunk of that income. And July was like a 30 grand month across the different stores. But interestingly, the other months that have been big are when I've had a viral video. And then what I tend to see is like a very slow decrease. So the first few months after December, so December, January, February, March, were within £100 of each other, which I think is really interesting. And then I had a double video, so 2 different sets of slides go viral in April, which was then my biggest month. And then it was kind of a decrease until July, where we had a huge increase because of the launch. So I kind of see these waves of like huge peaks and then like the dipping troughs. But what I am finding is that each time there's been a viral video, or each time I've had a launch, that kind of baseline is a little bit more than it was before. So like that first baseline after that first video was about, I'm just having so this is all of the stores combined. It was 13 grand. That was, for whatever reason, I was within £100 of 13 grand. So a 13,102, 13,127 and 12,973, which is just insane to be that consistent for 3 months. And then obviously it jumps and jumps and jumps. And now that baseline is somewhere else. So it has been very interesting because I can plot like the TikTok views against income. But what I have now started doing is reusing and repurposing content onto Instagram. And now Instagram is rivaling TikTok, is what I am finding. So one of my big challenges for this next year is this I suppose this is going to talk about what we do next. But for me, Shopify has now matched my income, my old income. It has matched the amount that I used to earn in a year, but that's not profit. So I want to double Shopify so that my net profit on Shopify beats what my old income was. So that's my goal for next year. And one of the things that I want to do through Instagram specifically, because you can tag products on there, but also through TikTok, because obviously you can have your link, but I suppose you can do TikTok shop as well, although that's a whole other kettle of fish. So yeah, I mean, what do you want the next 12 months to be like in terms of let's set each other a challenge? And then I'm going to ask about sustainability to kind of draw some of this to a close. So yeah, what do you want to achieve in the next year with your social media? Who is going to volunteer to go first? Cara?
I'll go first because I need to work on Instagram. I just find it very draining I think because I don't get very good results on Instagram, or I don't feel like I do, I almost have the same issues with Instagram as you were having with TikTok last year, which is that I kind of I do it for like a week and then I'm like, well, that hasn't done anything. So then I just stop. So that's one of the things that I really want to focus on, is being consistent with Instagram and growing that platform, because we don't know what's going to happen with TikTok. Obviously, there's talk of it being banned in the US at the moment. They've been told they've got 9 months to sell it. Most people are sort of saying, oh, it's not going to happen. But I think regardless of whether it does or doesn't, I think we've all learned that we need to have other ways of, bringing in income that isn't just TikTok. So I definitely want to focus on Instagram. It's difficult for me because I'm so KU centric. And I sort of tested the waters with my most recent series, not putting it into KU to start with. And it just didn't work. Like Reverse Horror and Why Choose readers, they are whale readers. They want to binge stuff and they want stuff that's in KU. So that's kind of another reason why I'm starting to focus on some non-fiction stuff as well, because I need something that is not solely reliant on Kindle Unlimited and Amazon. and that will be more direct sales focused. And that's going to be interesting to see how I tackle that on TikTok, like trying to promote a course, trying to promote nonfiction stuff. That's not something that I've done before. So that's those two things are going to be my main focus.
I'd be really interested to see how you do that. Probably lots of talking to camera, I would have thought, for the
Yeah,
course.
I mean, it's a spicy course. It's like how to write spice. So there should be like good sound bites and stuff. But then again, we know how TikTok feels about spicy stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, to play around with and see what I can get away with. But I think it's going to have to be more of my face. And as we've discussed, TikTok doesn't like my face.
It does. That's all in your head, darling. It does. It loves your face. Your face is beautiful.
Sounds like a mindset thing, that.
It's actually not, to be fair, it actually hasn't minded my face lately. That was like, I think you said I've gone back to like 6-second videos, and it's literally just my face with very SEO focused text on it. So I think a variation of 9-book reverse harem series with all the tropes listed. So what I need to try and replicate that kind of content for my Mafia Vampire series. Now that it's in KU, focus on trying to grow the nonfiction thing, focus on Instagram. That's the plan.
I hope you've written it down, because I'll be testing you.
I haven't, but Adam will remember for me. Every time we had a coaching session, he went, "How have you done this week?" And I was like, "Can you remind me what my goals were?"
All right.
Yes, Adam, I did write
them down. Good. Adam, what do you think your goals are with your socials for the next year?
So, unlike you two, I was paying attention to Instagram this time last year. I'd started reposting my videos that I was making on TikTok, not creating any content specifically for Instagram, just reposting. And my Instagram is more than double the size of my TikTok following. Has really good engagement, can post videos, and it generates sales pretty much every day. So I've got a really good organic reach. But again, when things pick up and drop off a cliff, it can really affect your sales. So it's kind of reminding me that I can't always just rely on that. I've kind of flexed it as far as I can, but without running myself into the ground, which I really don't want to do. I'm going to have to kind of expand how I'm doing things. And ultimately, my big picture goal is I want to have a 7-figure publishing business. That's the dream. And then eventually be able to retire before I'm 70.
You want to retire?
Yes. Well, I don't know, because I do enjoy all this, but can I do this for another 25 years? Probably not. But
I will never retire. I can't with that. I don't understand.
So part of the thing, obviously, I've mentioned we've been signing other authors and building them up, but these are authors that haven't had that opportunity to kind of grow, or they're really good at the writing side of things, but not necessarily the business side of things, which is absolutely fine. And what we're wanting to do is work with them to support them to build up their author brand, but releasing a book with us, kind of trying to coach them in the same way that I coached you guys, and hopefully get really good results for them. Very much terms and conditions are weighted in the author's favours, because that's something I'm very passionate about. And once we've published with these two authors, we might look at expanding further. And I really want to make a go of the novel gains stuff. It's just been a time thing this year for actually being able to sit down and create the content that I need to get that group more official than a Facebook group.
Novel Gains, is that the conference I keep hearing about?
Oh yes, this conference.
Yeah, add that to your list.
Orna's still trying to pin me down to sponsor a conference that I've never said I'd do, because of I think it was you and Joanna Penn that keep saying actually, when I was in Florida, I was telling someone about it, and someone next to me said, "Oh, is this the one in the Lake District?" I was like, "No."
Word is spreading.
So
you can keep turning up.
I was like, I had a conversation about a writing retreat in the Lake District, which has turned into it being spread that Novel Gaines is going to be doing a conference in the Lake District. But
I'll do a session on how to write Spice. Sasha Black will do a session on TikTok.
What? Why am I suddenly the TikTok expert? Hello.
Oh no.
Your stuff on how to, what I love about the way that you have like absolutely mastered TikTok is that you now use it as part of your entire thing. Like when you're planning your books, not just marketing, like the actual mining for hooks and that side of TikTok as well, which is something people don't really talk about enough. And you are like an absolute genius at it.
So I'll do a conference, Cara, when you get up on stage and you do the opening with me, and then Sasha, you can do the keynote because we all know how good your keynotes are.
I'll do that. You should do the conference.
Because I will have to. I have to use as many friendship points as I could to get as many amazing authors there as possible.
Hilarious.
Not that I've been thinking.
Loads of favors for this one.
Not that I've been thinking about it.
All right. Well, we've all kind of alluded to the fact that we are aware that TikTok changes a lot and that it is exhausting and it is relentless. But it is also a huge source of our income. But sustainability is a bit of a hot topic in the community. Cara, you've kind of mentioned nonfiction, but I wondered if we could maybe talk about our plans for sustainability a little bit more in depth. Like, how are you approaching sustainability? What is the strategy? I mean, I guess you kind of both talked a little bit about it, but maybe is there anything else that you can add? Because it's great and exciting and wonderful when TikTok does blow and change your whole fucking life, but also it's terrifying, just like being in KU is terrifying, to be reliant on one source of anything. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit to that.
I think I've started to view TikTok a bit more, trying to view it as like seasonal sales. Like I feel confident that it will, if it drops, it will come back at some point, but that's not a sustainable way to run your business. And it's not good for your mindset either to constantly be looking at the next month and thinking, oh my God, is that good? So I want to get paid ads functioning. Like it's a bugbear of all of ours. And I think we've talked about it together, that that's part of what we need to hold ourselves accountable to. It's really frustrating. It seems crazy that it's so, like, I've got a 9-book complete series that converts like crazy when I have a TikTok go viral, and I can spend a ton on Facebook ads and it's really hard to get it to convert. But it's just got to be a part of my business at some point, is to make those work, either myself or outsourcing and finding somebody who can manage that for me, if I don't feel like I can do it. And then it's kind of having multiple streams of income. And I really want to focus on actually taking the content that I've got, because you guys know me, I've got an absolute ton of books under different pen names. So my women's fiction has been signed over to Vinci Books, which was Fuse Books, which James Black is involved in, which will hopefully be a very different income stream. Probably not anywhere near as much as I make with my spicy stuff, but just another thing that will be bringing in a different stream of income. I want to look at translations. I need to get a hold on my audio stuff. And yeah, then the non-fiction, but essentially I'm a fiction writer. Like I love that. That's what I want to do. And what I want my business to look like is mostly writing fiction. So I think it's also for me really important to work on that work-life balance in the coming year, and actually try to get to a point where I've got systems in place and a level of income that I know is going to, give me the lifestyle that I want and need for my family. And that actually enjoying it, like enjoying the successes that we've had and being able to go to conferences and being able to take some time off and all that kind of stuff.
Like Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So for listeners,
there's that laugh again.
For listeners, I do not want to go back to Vegas,
but she's going to go.
Personal hell, but because of reasons, I think I'm going to end up going again.
That sounds like a commitment. That sounds like a commitment.
It really does sound like a commitment. It also sounds like I told you so. Oh dear. Adam, sustainability. Anything else you kind of want to add?
Other than it is the fifth founding principle of Novel Gains, sustainability is part of that model that we're trying to breathe. It's yes, getting social media to work for you is great, but actually you have to find those avenues that are going to make it sustainable over a longer period of time, so that your books aren't just a flash in the pan. So for me, I had started creating measures to make things sustainable. With other people doing things for me, but then I've ended up having to kind of bring it back and me do them again. But I have my loving wife, Sarah, Mrs. B, as some of you may know her, who is now full-time working with the business. And
But that's my plan B, by the way, tempt Sarah away from Adam.
Yeah, well, no, that's not going to happen. So she's currently doing all the Facebook courses and stuff that I've previously bought. So she's kind of learning all the stuff on the Facebook ads, so that at the moment I'm getting them all up and running, and then I can pass them over to her and she'll do that. And the same with TikToks and things, is getting her more involved with stuff like that. And then ultimately it will come to a point where it's scaling. So there's only so much either you or a partner in a business can do. And at some point you need to look at using your network, which is another pillar of foundation principle of Novel Gains, to find people that can do these jobs for you, or elements of your business that take lots of time and energy. It's trusting and building up that trust to have other people do that for you, so you can focus on either your business growth or your writing or your editing or things like that. Because you can very easily end up in a situation where you have 20, 30 plates that you're spinning, and you are on a one-way course to burnout, unless you've got two really good friends in a group that will tell you to stop.
But I think it's a challenge to know what elements you have to do yourself. And I think TikTok is one of those things at the moment. I think we probably all agree that you just have to do it yourself. Like, there's no good way of outsourcing TikTok, because you know your books better than anyone else. You can come up with your hooks better than anyone else. You need, in terms of time investment, paying someone to do it is really difficult, because they kind of need to be on the app, exploring what's happening, exploring what's working. And how can you pay someone enough to make it worth their while to do that when it's not their books? So I think I'm working with my sister now. She's doing a lot of stuff for me.
And me.
And Sasha and several other people. And she's now like, why did you introduce me to Sasha?
I know, right? I'm so needy.
But it's that as well, like sustainability. It's about having to make sure that you can still function in your business. So working out which elements you absolutely have to do yourself. Obviously, we have to write the books. And we do all like business. I think that's the difficult thing though as well, isn't it? Like, I think if you said to us, I was having this conversation with my sister earlier, actually, I think if you said to any of us, right, we'll take all the business elements away, all you've got to do is sit and write all day, we'd all get bored.
Yeah, what the biggest lesson?
Like, it's great for a day, and now I'm bored now.
I think that's been a real insightful lesson for me about working with Petra, is that I fucking love the strategy. I love coming up with the ideas of what I want to do, how to do it, and kind of that like conceptual marketing angles for it. But I don't want to do any of it. Like, I just if somebody else,
you don't want to have to do it, but you want to have the brain space to come up with it.
Yeah. And that's been so interesting for me, because I, you know, everyone's like, oh, you're a control freak. And yeah, I sort of am in a way. But actually, if there is somebody that you trust who you know can deliver, then I don't need to be a control freak anymore. And I'm so happy to let go of stuff. And I didn't think I'd ever get to that point. And I really, really am. And it has been such a like stress relief. And also given me that excitement back for the future, because I was living in like frustration, because I've got all of these plans of what I want to do, how to make the business more sustainable, creating more products, more, you know, interesting lines of things that we can do, and completely incapable of doing any of it. Because if I don't keep writing the books and marketing, like those two things are a full-time job. You know, there isn't any more time to do everything else, especially not if you're a parent, you know, or a primary carer, or, you know, whatever else you have any other responsibility in your life. So, yeah, like I completely agree. Definitely this next year is about filling that well for me, because I think I have burnt a little bit too low in the last couple of years.
I
And
would agree with that.
I think everybody listening probably agrees on that.
I heard somebody say it's about finding time to work on your business, not just in your business.
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me, because I was like, if I get a change of scenery and go away somewhere, I'm suddenly full of ideas, and I'll go back home thinking, oh my God, I'm saying, like, I've got so many ideas of what I want to do. And when you remove yourself from working in the like nitty gritty bits of everyday stuff, like answering emails and all of those kind of things, and you're able to look at it from a much, higher up kind of vantage point, it really, like, that's the stuff that we all love. That's why we're indie authors and we're not just writers giving our books to publish.
But it's also about, what are you good at? And that's, I think, the other thing that I've realized. I'm like, oh yeah, I thought I was good at organization. No, I'm fucking not compared to Petra, which is amazing, right? Because she's so fucking good at it. And she's so good at that implementation and like driving that operational stuff at such a fucking like terrifyingly efficient way. Like, I'm just like, yeah, fuck, well, I'm out. Like, there's no way I'm going to do any of that, because what's the point?
Here in the background looking super smug right now.
No, and it is true. Like, there are other people who are going to be really fucking good at things out there that enjoy doing that. And if somebody else enjoys doing it and they're really fucking good at it, why would you do that when you're really good at writing the story and connecting with your audience? Like, that's where it's like the zone of genius. Is it Gay Hendricks? No, yeah, The Big Leap. Whatever the author, I can't remember the author's title, but there's this lady or person, I don't know, who talks about your zone of genius. Somebody, some human, probably human. Yeah, talks about your zone of excellence, zone of genius, something. Right, there's a concept that I clearly don't know or have any clue about.
Sure. Was it a TikTok video?
So
there's a goldfish bowl on the cover, and the cover's blue with orange writing. Okay, so I know it exists, but anyway, go on, Adam.
I was just going to say, what you're going to do about finding that out.
Finding what out?
What that book is.
I know what it is. It's The Big Leap. I just can't remember the author's name. But anyway. So for me, I think like some of the sustainability comes from bringing on new lines of interesting, exciting projects, giving myself the space to write more. And like this next year really is going to be about creating more books, more words, more products, more everything. But also, like the two of you, not relying solely on TikTok for traffic. That I have to find another source of traffic because it won't work forever. So that will be kind of one of my big things. Right, we are rapidly running out of time. So I'm going to ask you for one thing that you wish you'd known before you started. And then this is the Rebel Author Podcast. So tell me about a time you unleashed your inner rebel. So one lesson and one rebellion. Who's going first?
So you've got a few minutes to think, Adam.
I've got mine.
One thing I wish I'd known was the kind of the emotional toll that it can take, and to have that support network there. Because I think if I'd had that from the beginning, I wouldn't have had those lulls where I stopped and kind of checked out. And yeah, to make sure that you've got those people who can be saying to you, like, keep going, it's okay, when you're having those down moments. My biggest rebellion. I was struggling to think of that because I did such a good one the last time I was here. So obviously I've been on like a million Bumble dates this year, being that I'm getting divorced. I think my biggest rebellion was going to Amsterdam for a second date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
where
quite...
the story will end.
Okay, Adam.
Well, I can't beat that, really. So I think lesson would be the importance of a really good network of people around you that are like-minded and very much wanting the same kind of things as you are. Because I think I wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds at some points this year without you guys, without Sarah supporting me. So that's got to be one of the biggest foundations. As for being a rebel, Cara will remember we were invited or bought tickets to quite an expensive Dress to Impress penthouse party in Las Vegas, and I came down in a pair of jeans and short sleeve shirt and some boots, and Cara was in a cocktail dress, and our other friend was in a tuxedo. So I feeling very underdressed. I'd had a few drinks at this point, just kind of said, I'll grab a jacket on the way. I'm sure I'd seen somewhere that sold jackets, and lo and behold, we walked past the shop. I just walked straight in, not grabbed the first jacket. Cara shouted, "Get the gold jacket." So I've just grabbed this jacket.
Can I just add that I was outside the shop and he wouldn't let me go in the shop. I tried to go in with him, and him and the other guys were like, no, this is a guy thing. You girls wait outside.
So I've grabbed this jacket, gone to the counter, and then the guy's gone, "That's $400. I nearly collapsed. But because I was drunk, went, right, I'll expense that. And I've had to wear it at every conference I've been to ever since, just to justify the cost. And sorry, Sarah, if you're listening to this, yes, that's how much the jacket costs, and I regret nothing.
That is hilarious.
And the jacket is special. It is a
$400 jacket. And the first people we saw when we got to the penthouse party were wearing shorts and a t-shirt, so I was fuming.
And there was that woman dressed as a giant octopus.
Yeah, so it's the last time I will ever go to a penthouse party in Vegas.
Me.
And yeah, and the best thing is, two of my author friends have also since bought that jacket and they put pictures on social media when they're at conferences wearing their version of the gold jacket. So we've actually started a bit of a cult inadvertently.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you for your time today. Would you like to tell everyone where they can find out more about you and your books and your publishing house, and anything else you'd like to add?
KaraClare.com, Cara Clare on TikTok, just Cara Clare.
And what's your podcast?
Oh, so the Indie Writers Club is the podcast. Sorry, James. There's also a Discord channel for the podcast, Indie Writers Club.
You can, anything to do with my books is on apbeswickpublications.com. We'll be adding the new authors' books onto there as they release, and come join us on our Facebook group, which is Novel Games.
Amazing.
And if you're interested in the icicle scene that made Adam blush in the Alexis Brooks books that we wrote together, it's the Jester series by Alexis Brooke. And yeah, the icicle was another rebellious moment.
You need to use that. If you ever come back on, you need to use that.
I'll use that next time. Yeah,
use it next time. Okay, well, thank you both so much for your time today. And of course, a giant thank you to all of the show's listeners and all of the show's patrons. If you would like to get early access to all of the episodes, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. I'm Sasha Black. You are listening to Cara Clare and AP Beswick, and this was the Rebel Author Podcast. This week, I'm joined by ZS Diamante, and we are talking all about how to master reader magnets. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe on your podcatcher. And when you have a moment, please leave a review.